So I'm going to be getting started on the rest of this porch makeover business. I swept the porch and now I'm going to be pressure washing it using my neighbor's pressure washer. So let's see. Porch is clean, and while I was at it, I cleaned the driveway too, because why not? That little power washer worked slick, so I think we need to buy one anyway at some point, but it's great that I have awesome neighbors who let me borrow theirs in the meantime. But we will be going to swimming lessons here in a little bit, so I'm gonna give the porch a good time to dry, and then on our way back home, I think I'm gonna swing by Sherwin-Williams and pick up the paint that I need for the porch, because I want specific concrete paint, since it's like it can be a higher traffic area, and like you don't want to use just any kind of paint on exterior concrete. So hoping to get the first coat of paint on tonight after your kids go down for bed. It'll be very interesting because it's always windy here, and so that is going to cause some challenges, but who's excited for the painted porch? Stories are all whacked out today, but went to Sherwin-Williams. They were actually having a 30% off sale on all paint, stain, all the things. So let me show you what I got. So I got 2 gallons of this water-based solid color concrete stain. He wasn't sure if one would be enough, but he said if I don't use the other one, I can just return it. I got a paint roller, half nap. Yeah, there we go. And a tray. And then I finally got myself one of these roller actual trays because I have never owned one. So, all paint supplies were 15% off. The paint itself was 30% off. So, pretty good. It is currently 8:30. Both my kids are asleep for the night. So we're gonna try and do a coat on the porch. What's really funny and kind of embarrassing if I think about it for too long. So I was out there on my front porch with Hulu playing on my iPad. I did not have headphones in because I was like, I don't know. That seems unsafe, but not like I live in a sketchy neighborhood or anything. But the amount of people that were out on walks and would literally be like 5 feet from me, and they would, like, I'm watching a cop show, like The Rookie, which is really good, by the way, and every once in a while there would be like gunshots or something, and people would walk by and be like, and then they'd see me painting, and yeah, I got lots of weird looks. One guy almost stepped on his dog, so that was amusing, I guess. All right, we've got the second coat of concrete stain on, and I'm gonna have to do a third coat just because I want the white to be like as solid as I can possibly get on like a porous concrete. porch. But you might be thinking, Sarah, it's white. It's going to look dirty all the time. Aren't you afraid that you're going to hate it? Plus, it's super, super bright. I actually have a really exciting, twist to the porch painting. And this is what I'm going to use. If you've been around for a while, you have seen our kitchen floor in our old kitchen in our first house that we redid. I picked out this gorgeous tile and I was absolutely obsessed with it. And I miss it a lot. So as I was thinking about painting this porch, originally I was just going to do a black or some kind of a colored border around it to kind of frame it out, make it look like a rug almost. But then I had the idea, what if I could put a design on it? And I am not a good freehander. So I went over to Etsy and I found this guy. And this is what I'm going to be stenciling on the porch. I'm really excited about it, kind of nervous, but I think it's going to be great. So I have it down there because it needs to be on a flat surface while it's just hanging out. But you can get they have thousands of designs and you can pick what size you want. So because I didn't want the porch to be dizzy looking, right? And I didn't also want it to be super small detailed and have it look like garbage essentially because of bleeding or whatever. Because again, I'm painting on concrete. It's not smooth by any means. So I found this and it is, I think it's 16 inches long. So I should be able to fit 5 of the stars across. And then we'll just see how many down. And I think it's going to be super fun and not very obnoxious, but give it some interest. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I am outside trying to figure out how to lay the stencil down. But of course I run into a dilemma. So here is the center of the porch. And of course, all right, I am outside trying to figure out how to lay the stencil down. But of course I run into a dilemma. So here is the center of the porch. And of course the door is slightly off-centered. So do I center the stencil with the porch as a whole, or do I just center it with the door? Of course, I wanted to get one stencil down, but it is so windy out, I'm not gonna risk it. So there's a couple different ways that you can apply a stencil, and you can either do a foam roller, which I've seen is super popular on walls or tile floors or anything like that is a flat surface. I am actually going to be using a stencil brush. I got this at Menards, and I'm just gonna tap the paint through the stencil onto the concrete. So we will see how that goes. I'm hoping by this evening the wind dies down and I can get started on it. And if not, I'll probably have to wait until another day. So something that was fantastic that Sherwin-Williams did was they were able to tint the concrete stain that I had left over in my original gallon to the color that I needed for the stencil. That way I didn't have to buy a whole nother gallon or anything like that, which was fantastic. Definitely saved me some money there. So this is the color that we came up with. It is called Gauntlet Gray. When I told the guy, I was I just want a charcoal gray, but nothing super warm or anything like that. So he pulled one color and it was way too warm. It was very brown and I was nope, I don't want that. And then he pulled this one and I was yeah, that looks great. By the time he had it already mixed up, it was too late for me to change my mind because I did find a color that I actually liked a little bit better. I think it will be great, but I'm like the worst when it comes to picking paint colors. I like always have like instant buyer's remorse. It'll be good. So this does come off like a little bit warmer than what I was planning, but it's just the stencil. I think it'll be fine and it'll be great. So in my hours and hours of research, and by research I mean like watching reels that the company that I bought the stencil from have been posting, what I need is my stencil brush, a paper plate, a paper towel to dab the brush, because the key to it is doing it in very thin, light layers. A stencil brush, a paper plate, a paper towel to dab the brush, because the key to it is doing it in very thin, light layers and not having a lot of paint on the brush. So, also, the votes are a resounding center it with the door, which is what my gut was telling me. So I'm glad we are on the same page. So I'm gonna figure that out. I also have to figure out where the center is, like lengthwise, because I want it to be relatively centered, you know. Whoever said you're not gonna use math in real life was not lying. Okay, so I came up with, because I'm going to be centering the design on the door, I'm not going to take into account as much like the side, the spaces on the side. My main concern is going to be the lengthwise from the door to like the steps. Like I want to make sure that's centered. So it is 140.5 inches. And my stencil is 16 inches. So I figured I can fit a max of 8 stencils on that length. So the 16 inches times 8 is 128 inches. So then that leaves a remaining 12.5 inches for total. So I'm splitting that in 2. So I need 6.25 inch on both ends from the side. So how I'm lining this up is there is an extra like petal on each edge of the stencil, so then I can line it up with the previous one. That was the first one. So how I'm lining this up is there is an extra like petal on each edge of the stencil, so then I can line it up with the previous one. That was the first one. Definitely gonna need some touch up, but that one was the third one and it's looking real good. So now that I've made it to the second row, I can actually match up this side and this side to make sure it's all straight. Here has been my strategy that seems to have been working relatively well. So I dip it in there, tap off as much as I can, and then spread it around like that, and then use what's already out here to really tap it in. And it seems to be working really well. So this is where we are ending. I think it looks fantastic. So because I centered the design with the door, I now have this relatively large gap here. So I am either going to do half of a stencil here to kind of fill in that gap, or paint like a 1-inch strip to kind of be like a border. I'm not really sure yet, but yeah. And then, so that was the first one that I did, and I forgot to save any white stains. So I think I'm gonna go to Lowe's or something and see if I can get a small can of white for touch-ups. This is the last full stencil, and I have this column to deal with, but oh my goodness. So I have a very interesting dilemma with these steps. Originally, I was like, how cool would it be if I could do the design here, but my stencil is too big. Part of me wants to just order a 12-inch one, but I feel like it might be kind of a waste of money. And then I have this, which I also wanted to do the stencil, but again, my stencil's too big. So I think, just a second, buddy. I think here I'm gonna do a 1-inch like box, kind of like a rug runner. And then, I don't know, should I do the same thing here? I'm not really sure. Like, would it look weird? I'm not sure. I could run the design over the edge, but that poses its own challenges as well. Okay, I'm gonna try and show this. Which, like, what if I took just the star and did like just, oh shoot, what am I doing? Oh, did just the big star on the step, and maybe like the sidelines, so then it would be like this, and then the sidelines along it. Yes, no, or keep with the simple picture like this. It is time to put the border on this porch. So this is my plan. I'm thinking the border should only be 1 inch wide, and I'm thinking of making it 1.5 inches. Yeah, like an inch, whatever this is like a larger roll. I'm gonna basically be, here, let me just show you. I'm going to take this tape and border it around the design, so then it gives that even space, and then the border will go here. I know I have another roll of a smaller tape, which if I could find, I might use that, but like having the border right there is not bad, right? Like, it'll give a good enough space between the design and the border. Option would be to do this thin border around it, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the thicker border. What do you think? All right, so you're gonna be doing the thick line border. So first I'm going to be lining the edge with the blue tape, and then I'm actually going to use this template, like this space right here, right there. That's how big my line is going to be. So I'm going to use this to lay down against the tape to tape the other side of the border. Hopefully that makes sense. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I'll just show you what I'm gonna do.
You like it?
Yeah. So the top is done. It looks awesome. Besides like the few spots that I need to like touch up with white. But I'm gonna stick Brooke on Tyler's Jeep. Have him drive her around for a little bit so I can finish the step. And the box on the side, we'll see, but it's like, I feel like I'm gonna lose motivation, so I need to at least get the step done. The side box, I'm not gonna be, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm like, it's okay. I do want to seal it. So I do need to like get white paint to touch up all the bleed lines before I seal it.
It's about damn time. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Feeling fussy, walking in my Balenciennes, trying to bring out the fabulous.